Hey guys, welcome back to the What About AI podcast. I'm Sean Boyce,
I'm James Perkins.
and the topic that we're going to talk about today is AI's impact to the legal industry. Got some really interesting stories to share personally on that front as well too. But first, as usual, a couple of statistics I want to throw your way. So, from the research that we've done, upwards of 25% of a lawyer's job today is technically automatable. Interesting one. 44% of legal tasks are technically fully automatable, so not just for a lawyer's job, but all legal tasks. Paralegals are looking at 80% in terms of automation risk this year. So for the full work that they do, essentially the full workload. And then upwards of 65 to 70% of an automation risk also into legal research by this year. So a lot of interesting research pointing at the potential impact, which could be pretty significant for the legal industry coming from AI. And I know we've got some personal use cases ourselves as well too, having used AI to kind of help us with legal kind of oriented adjacent tasks. So let's have you kind of dive in first and then
Yeah,
share mine.
sure. Well, first, I think the 25% stat is low.
Probably fair.
Upward, it's more like upwards of 60% or
Bit.
more. In my personal experience, I got divorced several years ago, and which is a terrible experience. And if you have kids, it's even harder and more challenging. Like it's rough. And I both represented myself for some of it and had an attorney for other parts. And I can say that it was before ChatGPT, before Claude, before any real AI tool existed. And it was really challenging. Like to figure out the local county filing processes
So hard.
and to go, there's so much pomp and circumstance going through the court system for anything
Yep.
that doing it yourself is it felt almost impossible at the time. But it is possible, and most of it is kind of routine things like filing things at the right time, filing things in the right way, making sure you follow all of the protocols just
Very
right.
process oriented.
And that's a big chunk of what attorneys do is they know the process, they know the flow, they know when to file certain things, and that's a big chunk of the value they've added. That part of their value prop doesn't really exist anymore because you can do that with AI. So that's part of the job is kind of getting automated away, knowing the timelines, knowing the guidance there.
Yep.
The second thing I would say is attorneys know how to write things up in such a manner that it'll be well received in court, whether it's going before a judge or it has to get notarized, and kind of documents the protocols or guidelines in a way that is expected by the court. Again, if you want to do that yourself in the past, took some research, took some muscle grease. Now you really can use it. I mean, you have to say please remove M dashes, but you could effectively do that part of the job. So a big chunk of the value that attorneys have provided over time has been taken away for sure, in my experience. And then the last thing I'd call out is attorneys are also there to help kind of guide you through expectations.
Hmm.
They know, given the nature of the court process and whatever it is you're being sued or suing for or seeking, they know what the general outcome might be, and they can kind of level set you on expectations. They're really good at level setting expectations. AI is not, right? It'll
Mm-hmm.
tell you you should win this, and here's why, and you're going to win everything you want. So you have to kind of be cautionary there. But I would say most of the attorney's role today, for most case types, can definitely be automated by AI.
I think that's definitely fair. Yeah, the one stat we have here, we're almost upwards of half of all legal tasks are technically kind of like already automatable, probably by what the technology is capable of right now. And I think that's like we talked about before with Claude Cowork and stuff like that is likely to only improve. But agreed, all those like admin related tasks, which is a big part of what they do,
Huge.
is 100%, susceptible to being automated by AI and probably should, right? It's probably not the best use of people with all that expertise to help you with the stuff that really matters. And I think you drew some good kind of lines around what probably makes sense for attorneys and lawyers and people in the industry to focus on moving forward versus all that admin work, right? The stuff they can automate. In fact, some of what, we've got a bunch of lawyers in our network, and for the conversations we've had with them, they've come up with use cases and problems potentially worth solving where they kind of look to people like us with our expertise to say, hey, can you build this? Can you build that? And it's everything from helping automate billing stuff, which is kind of quite a bit of that is like archaic in terms of how it gets done today, all the way to and through, producing some of the materials that they need, like demand letters and things like that, which again, in terms of what the tech is capable, I think probably a pretty good fit there. But yeah, I mean, I've used, Claude and ChatGPT and tools like that myself for when I've needed to do some research or I'm working with a lawyer on something. And even recently, when I've had, some of those conversations in the past, what I was expecting to get back from the lawyers that I shared that stuff with in terms of like, I use AI a lot to kind of organize my thoughts and put and document them to a certain extent. It does a much better job, much faster as well too than I think I ever could myself. But when I've shared that stuff with the lawyers in my network in terms of like I produce this or I produce that or whatever, they can still tell basically that it's been done or organized by AI.
You
So
didn't
they,
say remove M dash, but go ahead.
that's right. That's probably why. Note to self for the future one. But as opposed to what I was expecting was for them to basically come back and just roast it, say like this is garbage, we could never use this, whatever, this it's just not helpful or it's wrong, like it's flat out wrong. The responses that I'm starting to get more and more is like, yeah, that's pretty good.
Who'd you work with to write
Yeah,
this?
how much did this cost? How long did this take? And I'm like, very, very quick. So if you're able to kind of, like you said, know the process a little bit and then know when you can leverage these tools, you could probably speed it up quite a bit. You could probably scale what the industry itself is capable of, automate away a lot of that stuff and doesn't really need to be done by people with all that expertise moving forward, I would imagine.
Yeah. So one of the attorneys we're working with now sees this coming, was cautious about like, how do I approach this? I want to implement this in my practice. And we've given them a lot of guidance. They are bringing in just via intake more clients than they could have imagined before. And they're really spending most of their time in the courtroom. So they're able to handle more cases physically in court because so much of the busy work is being done, and they don't have the need for as many junior attorneys in their firm. So it's it's making it can make your life a lot easier. I think it's probably a few years. I would say at least 5 years, just because the court system is slow to adopt change in
Sure.
general, right? Even during 2020, they weren't having remote hearings for like a year after the
Gee,
pandemic.
that's a
So
while.
it takes a while for the court system to change. Factor that in with the need for like robotics or something. You probably won't see AI in the courtroom for 5 to 10 years. So there's still a huge chunk of work to be done by attorneys, but all the other stuff can get done by AI.
Definitely, yeah. One of my favorite use cases is the note takers, man. I am in love with my Fathom note taker.
Yeah.
Can't go anywhere without it these days. It takes such, I mean, a big part of the work that I used to do was taking good notes for doing user research and stuff like that on the software projects I work on. But man, that is dead and gone, and I don't even think about it anymore, which is amazing. Not only that is I can take from those notes and pipe it into whatever I want in order to make the next step in the process that much better because I just captured way better context. And what I'm starting to see is when I do have those conversations, even if they're just catch up calls or our clients, like you mentioned, who are lawyers, they're using them now too, which
Yep.
that's always a sign, I would say, of that's starting to become adopted and more mainstream because, in terms of folks that would be more cautious around those types of things, I feel like lawyers would be pretty high on that list. But that since they're using them more consistently now, you can see kind of how quickly not only the more progressive industries and type of work that people do is to adopt this tech, but even some that have traditionally been a lot more conservative.
Yeah, I would say you're right. Based on the sheer number of attorney and lawyer jokes that exist out there, I don't think too many people are playing are too worried about attorneys being kind of automated out of existence. But if attorneys are, they see it now, and they're starting. Like if you're listening to this and you practice law, you should probably be looking into everything we just discussed and more, and incorporating it into your practice, into your filings. Like if your firm's not using it, you should be. So important things to
Great
note.
advice, yeah, for sure. And to the points that you've made as well, also is look for it to kind of automate away the work you don't want to do, right?
Right, the busy work.
Exactly. What isn't providing direct value or feedback or whatever, specifically for your clients, right? And I think that opens up new possibilities. I don't know how many in the industry would necessarily be quick to kind of lower their rates, but I think it's entirely possible that you can scale your operation more so if you want to, and theoretically become more competitive that way if you want, or simply just kind of make you more productive and be able to help more clients with more things that they need with the same amount of time or less, given how much efficiency gain you're going to get probably by leveraging this tech. So
Yeah, and the other thing I'd say is like we talk a little about layoffs and jobs that are being displaced. Um, what's the entry level within a law firm called? I forget. We just talked about
We
this
talking about
recently.
paralegals? Is that what we're
Paralegals
referring to? Yep.
are actively being replaced. Like some of the clients we're working with now are saying, "Well, we want to cut our paralegals down by half. Can we do this?" And the answer is yes, they can.
Yep.
So if you're a paralegal and you're feeling the strain or stress right now, you should be. If you want to stick around, learn how to use these tools because a lot of the firms we're working with have no idea what they're doing.
Great advice.
And that will help you keep a spot because they need someone to kind of help. We're sharing what they should do to adopt the technology. Having someone on site that knows how to use it would take things a little bit further and helps give you some job security.
Yeah.
So think about that too.
That's a great idea. And sign up for our newsletter where we share basically these tools that we're testing on your behalf and figuring out, we're kind of like separating the wheat from the chaff there in terms of here's what's providing real value, here's
Yeah.
what's not ready yet. So, plus, if you have questions for us or you find yourself in any of these roles and specifically in the industry, we're looking to do more interviews with folks live in the field as well too, so they can report back to us what they're seeing kind of at ground zero.
Couldn't say it better myself.
Anything else to add for this
I
episode
think
before we
we're
wrap
good.
up? Good spot. Awesome. Thanks for
Thanks all.
tuning in, guys. Appreciate it.